Well, hello. So I'm gonna start with the Steffi here reading Soul on Earth, Section 1, Chapter 12. This is the transformational power of compassion. And we've got a beautiful quote by Pema Chodron. Compassion isn't some kind of self-improvement project or ideal we're trying to live up to. Having compassion starts and ends with having compassion for all those unwanted parts of ourselves, all those imperfections that we don't even want to look at. Starts with having compassion for all those unwanted parts, all those imperfections we don't even want to look at. Whew. Compassion is one of the most beautiful healing energies in existence. Although its true nature is often misunderstood, we may confuse it with being nice or with empathy or sympathy. But to paraphrase Mark Twain, niceness, empathy, and sympathy are to compassion what a lightning bug is to lightning. I don't get it. Compassion is not an emotional state. It is a transformational state. Like joy, it comes to us from beyond our human selves. Although we can open ourselves to it, invoke it, invite it, and cultivate it. Used medicinally, compassion is highly adaptogenic. In other words, it's good for what ails us, no matter what form our ailments take. In fact, anytime you find yourself stuck or blocked in any way, internally or externally, compassion can both salve your wounds and lever your tires out of the mud they've been spinning in. But the simple, powerful Buddhist practice of metta, loving kindness meditation, is an excellent way to begin to experience the power of compassion. Developing compassion for yourself and others. First, say this prayer at least 3 times on your own behalf. May I heal. May my heart open. May I find joy. May I live in peace. As you say it, attempt to make the messages of the blessings into your heart. It may help to lay a hand on your heart or belly as you say these words. May I heal. May my heart open. May I find joy. May I live in peace. May I heal. May my heart open. May I find joy. May you live in peace. May I live in peace. Number 2. Next, let yourself think of someone you feel loving feelings toward. Picturing their face, bless them as well. Bless them as well. May you heal. May your heart open. May you find joy. May you live in peace. May you heal. May your heart open. May you find joy. May you live in peace. May you heal. May your heart open. May you find joy. May you live in peace. Number 3. Next, pick someone about whom you feel neutral. A casual acquaintance, perhaps. Picturing their face, bless them in the same way, slowly and repeatedly. May you heal. May your heart open. May you find joy. May you live in peace. May you heal. May your heart open. May you find joy. May you live in peace. Next, think of someone with whom you've struggled or had conflict. Picturing his or her face, say the prayer again, working to really feel as if you say it, going over it at least 3 times. You may help. You may find it helps to say it 10, 20, or 30 times more. May you heal. May your heart open. May you find joy. May you live in peace. May you heal. May your heart open. May you find joy. May you live in peace. May you heal. May your heart open. May you live in peace. May you find joy. I miss the joy. And 5, last, say the prayer on behalf of the entire world, remembering, of course, that that includes you. Let your mental gaze travel around the country or world as you speak the words once again, at least 3 times. May we heal. May our hearts open. May we find joy. May we live in peace. May we heal. May our hearts open. May we find joy. May we live in peace. May we heal. May our hearts open. May we find joy. May we live in peace. If you truly give yourself to this process, repeating the phrases in sequence, you will feel the power of compassion soften your heart. Whether it happens in minutes, days, weeks, or months depends on how calcified your tender emotional tissue has become. But it will happen. There are many versions of metta prayers online and in Buddhist books. I composed the particular prayer above. You too can compose your own, creating phrasing that feels just right for you. Words are carriers of energy, but the energy lives beyond the words. It comes through them or is summoned by them and by your intention. Traditionally, metta prayers were used to help people shift beyond a narrow conception of self-interest and into a state of benevolence towards others in the world. While of course that movement is still necessary, these days, as previously discussed, it's just as hard for many of us to direct compassion inward as outward. It's just as hard for us to direct compassion inward as it is to the outward. Metta practice is like a gentle, deep cleanse for our hearts. Some people find it useful to say metta prayers every day for months or even years, allowing compassion to work its way into all the hidden crevices and gnarled knots of their being. Of course, if you find yourself resistant to compassion, you can also work with your guides more directly to dismantle the inner structures involved. Here's the description of a shamanic journey that came after I asked my guides to help me open my heart. I found my panther guide in a forest where there seemed to be pieces of my heart scattered everywhere. He gathered them together and made them into a kind of heart-shaped pendant, which he put around his neck and wore for a while to infuse it with power. Then he got on top of me and infused the heart, back into my chest. Next, he took me to the big light cave where the three beings who had visited me when I was 4 were waiting for me. They put me in a carved cradle I had as an infant and were completely loving and attentive to me, holding, patting, rocking, and caring for me. I could feel part of me craving their attention and part of me completely, absolutely refusing and resisting it. As they continued to surround me with pure love and compassion, it became excruciatingly uncomfortable for me. I felt myself physically squirming and was strongly tempted to end the journey. Instead, I covered my whole face with my scarf because I felt so vulnerable. I was doing this journey in a group setting. I understand that I needed to become able to, and I understood that I needed to become able to allow this compassion in order to be able to feel more compassion for others. I asked the beings why there was so much struggle, and then I realized that it felt like my heart would shatter if I let the compassion in. There was a hard wall around my heart, and parts of me felt terrified for being made weak, being disabled by receiving love or compassion. It shocked me to feel how strong this was and how much of me was going into this refusal, keeping love and light out. However, the beings didn't seem shocked or dismayed. They just kept slowly, steadily emanating love and compassion, surrounding me with it, touching me with it. As they did so, I relaxed my self-judgment about not being able to let their love, and eventually relaxed my resistance to them as well. It wasn't dramatic. It was never more like the way night slowly lightens into dawn. The change was gradual within the space of 10-minute journey, but profound. I understood that I could come back to this place for more treatments anytime. As you can see, this journey showed that a part of me has strongly feared and resisted the medicine of compassion. And yet compassion was the only medicine that could heal my fear and resistance. In fact, there's no condition, inner or outer, that cannot be helped by compassion. Compassion is also crucial in helping us to heal our horror at our own misdeeds, as well as the misdeeds of others. The word misdeed sounds minor, like accidentally scratching a car's bumper in the parking lot and failing to leave a note, or not bothering to tell the cashier she's given us an extra dollar in change. But of course, in addition to these kinds of minor departures from integrity, most of us have at least occasionally been cruel, malicious, vengeful, or caused harm. We may have lied to others in an effort to protect ourselves. Even when we think we're lying to protect someone else, it's generally ourselves, or our image, or our perceived well-being that we're really protecting. We may have exploited, manipulated, or taken advantage of others. In fact, it would be surprising if we had never done any of those things, since they seem to be quintessentially human acts that have happened over and over again in the history of our kind. The word we might use in place of misdeed is sin. However, that word carries a terribly heavy burden for many of us because it has been so badly mistranslated, misused, and misunderstood in religious contexts for centuries. Eckhart Tolle explains, Literally translated from the ancient Greek in which the New Testament was written, to sin means to miss the mark as an archer misses the target. So to sin means to miss the point of human existence or to live unskillfully in ways that cause suffering. That makes sense. In this sense, of course, all of us are sinners, and compassion is the force that can eradicate both our sinning and our shame at having sinned. It is also the force that can help us heal our grief and rage at the sins of others. Ooh, tich not han, tick not han, tick not han makes this point very powerfully in his poem. Please call me by my true names. Please call me by my true names. Don't say that I'll depart tomorrow, because even today I still arrive. Look deeply. I arrive in every second to be a bud on a spring branch, to be a tiny bird with wings still fragile, learning to sing in my new nest, to be a caterpillar in the heart of a flower, to be a jewel hiding itself in a stone. I still arrive in order to laugh and to cry, in order to fear and to hope. The rhythm of my heart is the birth and death of all that is alive. I am the mayfly metamorphosing on the surface of the river, and I am the bird which, when spring comes, arrives in time to eat the mayfly. I am the frog swimming happily in the clear pond, and I am also the grass snake who, approaching in silence, feeds itself on the frog. I am the child in Uganda, all skin and bones, my legs as thin as bamboo sticks, and I am the arms merchant selling deadly weapons to Uganda. I'm the 12-year-old girl on a refugee boat, on a small refugee boat, refugee on a small boat who throws herself into the ocean after being raped by a sea pirate. And, I am the sea pirate, my heart not yet capable of seeing and loving. I am a member of the Politburo with plenty of power in my hands. I am the man who has to pay his debt of blood to my people, dying slowly in a forced labor camp. My joy is like spring, so warm it makes flowers bloom in all walks of life. My pain is like a river of tears, so full it fills the four oceans. Please call me by my true names, so I can hear all my cries and laughs at once, so I can see that my joy and pain are one. Please call me by my true names, so I can wake up, and so the door of my heart can be left open, the door of compassion. Of course, most readers of this book have never raped a 12-year-old girl. We don't literally have blood on our hands, and we are probably not dying in forced labor camps as we read these words. Yet within us lives the knowledge of all kinds of all of these kinds of horror. And within us too is the door to our transformation, the door of compassion. There are only a few times in my adult life when I remember consciously, deliberately withholding compassion from another human being. Here's the story of one such incident, which has been a powerful teacher to me. After several weeks of traveling in India, I had learned to harden myself against the constant presence of beggars. The sea of emaciated, crippled, deformed suffers endlessly holding up their needy hands. On the last night of my trip, I went out to dinner with the express plan of saving my leftovers to eat on the flight home. Then, as I left the restaurant with my little white doggy bag, I was approached by a young woman carrying a baby in her arms. She knew exactly what my little bag contained, and she asked me for it by pointing to it, then pointing to the baby's stomach, and then to her own. But I wanted the food for myself. I didn't want to give it to her, and so I said no. A moment later, after the young woman had disappeared into the crowd, I realized what I had done. I had plenty of money to buy other food to eat on my flight home. Yet I had refused sustenance to someone whose need was obviously much greater than my own. Remorseful, I searched for the young woman, but was unable to find her. Obviously, my action came out of a sense of separation. Yet somewhere in my being lived the sense, the knowledge of connection too. In fact, my sense of separation was so rigid largely because it imperfectly covered up a much deeper sense of heartbreak. The fact that there are people so poor and hungry that they literally beg for money, for my money or food, is shattering to me when I let myself feel it. This means that I need to direct compassion toward my own broken heart, as well as toward the panhandlers filling the streets. Since I live in an urban area, someone asks me for money almost every time I go downtown. Of course, what do I do in response to matters much less and how and why much matters less than how and why I do it. It's possible to give money or food while withholding compassion, or to feel and emanate compassion even while saying no to a given request. Learning to respond with compassion to the disowned, rejected parts of ourselves can help us retain compassion for the pain outside ourselves. Responding compassionately to our outer pain can also help us become more able to turn our compassion inward. Ultimately, the pain inside us and the pain outside us can both teach us about ourselves and can both offer us the same opportunities for healing. As poet Adrienne Rich writes, the body's pain and the pain in the streets are not the same, but you can learn from the edges that blur. Oh, you who love clear edges more than anything, watch the edges that blur.